Hi there, I'm Christy. Welcome to my channel and to my homestead. I am in northern Alberta, Canada, growing zone 2B. And today I'm actually taking you with me. I haven't been to the grocery store since the inflation, and so I'm gonna go pick up a couple of things, and I thought I would take you along. I also wanted to share some of my insight of things that someone who's new at growing their own food or looking at the prices and seeing this inflation happening in real time, some ideas or tips of what I from my experience would recommend. So I hope you stay tuned. I hope you give a thumbs up and subscribe if you're wanting to. No pressure. And I'll see ya in a bit. Okay, let's go to town. I haven't been at the grocery store. I've been embarrassed to go in there because I don't even want to talk about it, but it's hilarious. Anyway, I'll get over myself. But I went to the grocery store to buy a few things. So gosh, it was a while ago. It was when my hens just first started laying, and I didn't change my chore code. I just went to town, and I heard something in my pocket. I thought it was like change or something, and I felt something in my pocket. And when I went to pull out my money to pay, I had a $20 bill in my pocket. There was egg yolk on it, and I like pulled this money out of my pocket, and they're like looking at me like, did you steal that egg? I'm like, no, it's from my hen. Look, there's poop on it. And they took my money. Egg and all. So I'm embarrassed. I don't really want to go back in there, but I'm sucking it up. I'm getting over myself, and I'm going in. Okay, I'm back, and I spent $77.16 today at the grocery store, and I'll show you what I bought and what I paid, so you can see what the inflation is like up here in northern Alberta, Canada, where we only have one grocery store. A lot of the things that I bought today, they are not things that I normally buy. However, there was some good prices on a few of the things, and I wanted to pick them up. For example, Chaz has taken an interest to baking, and so he finds it really easy to use cake mixes. So I picked him up one of these so we can use up some of the eggs, and he can learn and practice to do this on his own, and some icing. And then, you know, I always want to encourage kids in the kitchen, and it's always a good thing to start with a baking mix. Usually these are like $5 here, so I did get a deal on them today. So I'm just going to go over and share with you what I bought and what I paid. So the cake mix here, the Betty Crocker cake mix, I paid $2.28. I saved 71 cents on this today with my Smart Shopper thing, because I'm a Smart Shopper apparently. I did get the frosting. This was also on sale. I paid $3.78 for the frosting. Icing sugar, I know I could make my own, but I'm running low. I haven't got a bulk order in yet of cane sugar, and I just didn't, it's whatever. We don't ever hardly use this. Chaz will for making icing and stuff like that. It was $3.97, and this is a 1 kg bag. Tortilla chips, Western Family tortilla chips, they were $2.48. I saved $1.01 on them, on these ones, and these were also the same price. They were both $2.48, regular $3.49. The sour cream is a 750 milliliter, 14%, and I paid $4.98, and I saved $1.81 on it today. So that's why I bought it. It was a good price compared to what we're used to paying. Stirred peach yogurt, $4.79. I bought yogurt. Chaz likes yogurt and granola, and sometimes he puts it in his smoothie. And even though he's not here this week, I wanted to pick it up because a lot of times we don't have yogurt on the shelves in our store. Last 2 times I went in, there was no yogurt on the shelves. So yeah, $4.97. This was not on sale. It was regular price. I saved $12.80 on ribs today. This is why I bought them. So I'm making these for dinner tonight. I'm actually gonna throw these in the oven, but I am gonna preserve half of these because it's just Tyson and I here tonight. So him and I will eat like one of these, and I'll save the other strip for another night when it's either just Chaz and I, or Tyson and I, or just Chaz and Tyson. I can put it in the oven for them guys, and they can, you know, enjoy it when it's just the two of them. So I paid $16.70 for these, which I had saved $12.80. So I bought these. They're probably not the greatest ribs, but whatever. We hardly ever buy pork. I don't know why, we just don't. I don't know, our family just doesn't eat it. So anyway, I got hot dogs. Okay, the last time I bought hot dogs, some of you like couldn't believe it. So anyway, this is a 1 kg. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 hot dogs in here, or wieners, whatever you want to rate. They're just the store brand. $17.99. $17.99 for hot dogs. So yeah, and I got these because I thought it's starting to warm up. Chaz likes to go skidooing while there's snow, and I would like, you know, they like to do wiener roast sometimes when they go skidooing with their buddies. So I picked some up just in case they wanted to go because we were out. Strawberries. I don't often buy strawberries in the store because oftentimes it just tastes like disappointment, kind of like tomatoes. But the strawberries, I could smell them when I walked in the store, and I just was drawn to them. So for the strawberries, they were $6.99, but I'm gonna enjoy some of these here right away. Those are gonna be my lunch. And then I bought a English cucumber. This was $2.49, which is pretty regular for our store. And then I bought half of a loaf of sourdough. This is all they had. They only had like 4 of these half loaves, so I got 2 of them. And each one of them was $3.99. So I paid $8 for a sourdough loaf, which, you know, I need to make the sourdough. Anybody have any suggestions on sourdough making? I would love some input. I'm a little bit leery about making it. I've tried it before and I failed so miserably. So if anyone has any sourdough making tips or starter tips, please let me know in the comments, because I would love to learn how to do this myself, because this was painful for me today to buy that. So that was $77. I know most of you, in some of the places that you live, this would not cost near that much money, but the fuel prices today in Manning was, when I went by the pumps, like we do card lock, but when I went by the pumps today, the Esso was $169.9 was the price on that. I also seen there was a few other prices as well. I'll just show you some of the other, why I order bulk and what the prices are for some of the other main ingredients that we would normally use here. And so then that can further justify of why, you know, why with these inflations, it's a good idea to start planning to grow a little bit of food and ways to make the most of it. We'll check that out right now. Here's some pricing from today at our store. The cucumbers were 2 for $4 or $2.49 each. The spinach is $6.99 for a baby spinach. Bananas were 89 cents a pound. There wasn't very many left. Regular packages of wieners were $10 for 10. Ground turkey was $10.43 a pound. Pork shoulder, pork butts were $6.57 a pound with the bone in. Lean ground beef was $6.35 a pound. The small cans of Campbell's soup was 3 for $7 on sale, so $2.33 per can of Campbell's. 1 quart of pasta sauce was on sale for $5.48, regular $5.99, and this is exactly why I make my own pasta sauce from the food I grow. 10 kgs of sugar was $15.77, and a 4 kg was $6.47 per bag. 10 kgs of Robin Hood all-purpose flour, it was $17.47. The reason I grow so much pumpkin, canned pumpkin, is $5.79 for the brand name, and the no name kind of brand, or the house brand, was on sale for $4.28 today. With 1 pound of salted butter was $5.67. Tropicana orange juice is $8.47. 24 packs of toilet paper 3-ply was $11.97. Cottage cheese was on sale for $5.88, which was actually a pretty good deal. I didn't buy any though. I thought while I'm seasoning this, I can give you some insight to how I save money and do things on the homestead. When I'm not growing food, some tips of what I find very, very helpful to beat the cost or keep costs down. I mean, we are so used to living where the prices are always higher just because of our location. So I kind of learned how to be frugal on the fly. It's just the way my brain works when I'm trying to be resourceful. So while I'm seasoning this, I'll share some information with you, but I thought I would tell you what I'm putting on this in case you're curious. So I just cut half of the ribs into chunks, and I'm just gonna season it with onion, garlic, smoked paprika, and salt and pepper. And I'm going to season both sides, and then I'm going to add some water, cover it with foil, and then put it in the oven slow and low until Tyson comes home for supper, and then I will pull them out, put barbecue sauce on them, and put them back in so they get nice and kind of gooey. That's how I'm going to do it. So one of the things that a person can do is you can shop on sale. So you can buy bulk onions, or bulk, like when they have case lot sales, or you get those big bags of onions and stuff like that. It's a really good idea to grab that. And even if they're soft, like this time of the year, it's spring, a lot of the growers or people that have market gardens, something to consider is that they're getting ready to clear out their storage rooms, and a lot of whatever produce or like onions that they had that they're not going to use as seed, the storage onions in particular, they are going to start to want to grow now that the weather's getting warmer, and they're going to start getting soft. So this is a really great time of the year to reach out to some of the people that sell in your local markets or your farmers markets and say, hey, do you have any bulk onions? Or any, do you have any onions that you want to use up? And usually you can get them at a really good discount. Or you'll see them this time of the year, you're going to start to see sales on large quantities of onions, and it's because they need to be used up. So what you can do is you can bring them home, chop them up, dice them up, and freeze them. Or you can like mince them up and dehydrate them or freeze dry them if you have access to a freeze dryer or a dehydrator. But one of the easiest things to do is to chop them up and spread them out on a cookie sheet, put on a piece of parchment paper, put that cookie sheet in the freezer and let it freeze for an hour or two, pull it out, and then dump all that into a Ziploc freezer bag. And then what happens is you can just grab handfuls and it's all loose, it's not all frozen together, and then you can use that in your cooking and save money that way by shopping on sales and buying in bulk, which is if you have the freezer space to do that, right? Another thing, and also you can then make products like you could grind up, if you dehydrate your onions, you can grind it up and make your own seasonings like granulated onion, stuff like that. Another thing is that potatoes as well, like you could go to a local grower and probably ask them if they have any potatoes that they are wanting to get rid of in bulk. And what you can do is you can grab them and process them. You can make French fries out of them and blanch them, which means you put them in some water and kind of cook them just a little bit. And then you do like what I said with the onions, you flash freeze them by laying them out on a parchment paper, and then you put them into a Ziploc bag, and then you can pull them out as you need to, because then they're individual, they're not frozen in a big clump. Or you can do that with hash browns. You can chop them up into little cubes and do the same thing, blanch them, by putting them in boiling water for 2 minutes, then moving them out of that boiling water for 2 minutes and putting them in ice water and letting them cool off so they stop cooking. And then you do the same thing, dry them off, put them on a parchment paper, put them in the freezer, and then you have individual French fries, and you're able, or hash browns, even shredding them, you can do it that way too. When I shred them, I usually freeze dry them or dehydrate them, but you know, you could freeze them, just freeze them, like lay them out on a sheet and freeze them, and then break them into pieces. And then when you need them, you just throw them in a pan with some water, like a couple tablespoons of water, or just throw them in a pan with some oil, and they'll thaw out and cook really quickly. So there's those kind of options available to a person to try, you know. It's all you got to do is just try. You don't have to, like, I guess the biggest thing is that when a person's like, well, food preservation can be scary. Some people are just a little bit intimidated by that, but there are so many ways you can preserve food. And now is a really great time when people are cleaning out their storage rooms, or, you know, anything that is a storage onion, or like even like right now, I have a whole bunch of pumpkins right now. Honestly, if someone come up to me and said, hey, would you sell some pumpkins? I totally would. Because right now what I'm doing is I'm literally just freeze drying them and processing them as like a paste, and freezing them in a paste, or I'm chopping them up into little cubes and feeding them to my horses, so that they can get some added nutrition. And, you know, pumpkin is really good for animals and stuff too. So, and even the dogs as well are getting it. So there's just those kind of things. Even right now, like I could have cooked all of these ribs. Theoretically, I could just put 2 of these in the freezer and just portion. Tyson and I each get 1 tonight, and then the other 2 can go in the freezer with the other thing. But I'm cooking 4 just in case, because he has hockey tonight, and just in case when he comes home he might be hungry. Sometimes he does like to grab some leftovers out of the fridge. So I'm cooking enough for myself to have a serving tonight, a serving tomorrow, and Tyson has 2 servings for today, for pre-hockey and then after he's done playing hockey. So, you know, that's what I'm doing, why I'm doing this. And if this was just Chaz, Tyson, and I, then this would be enough for us, because Chaz usually eats 2 ribs. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, cover it so it makes a tent, and so it can steam and slow roast really, really slowly. And then I'm going to put groceries away, and then I'll come back and I'll have a coffee with you, and we'll talk a little bit more about ways that you can kind of get through this ridiculous inflation that we're all experiencing. And, you know, it doesn't matter where we are in the world right now, we're all experiencing it. It's a new crisis. And so let's talk about it. I'll be right back. So something else I should mention about food, like sustainability, if you have the space, or if you live in a town where you are allowed to have hens, you could get some chickens. This is 5 laying hens. You know, this is 5 days or 6 days. 6 days worth of eggs from my hens. And I found a clutch of eggs that I had to throw away because they froze. So I wasn't able to collect them all. But, you know, this is a nice, a person could actually really make a lot of food with this. You can make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You use eggs. You can use eggs in so many things. And so here, I think our chicken scratch and layer ration is about $12 a bag. I think the layer ration is about $20, but I don't feed my hens a lot of layer ration. It doesn't cost a lot of money to have them. I think I spend about $12 every 6 weeks, I think, to feed I have seven chickens. I have 5 hens, 2 roosters. And so you don't need to have a rooster to have eggs. I mean, you can have a couple eggs, however many family members you have, you can kind of calculate that and get some laying hens. You can get chicks, raise them up. That's always fun. And they start laying at 6 months old. I had extra eggs and my eggs were fertilized. So I was looking at the prices of meat and I thought, you know what? I have extra eggs. I'm going to throw these in the incubator for meat birds because these are dual purpose. And so that's what I did. I'm going to keep the pullets, which are the females, and we're going to butcher the cockerels, which are the roosters. And so that is going to be some food sustainability, and it costs us really little money. Also, they make compost for my garden and for my flower farm, which also helps us be more sustainable. So this is a really great option. If you have the ability to have chickens, I would really do it. They also, you can feed them kitchen scraps. They really like kitchen scraps. They can help you with your composting. They also help with pest control. So there's so many great options. Really good reasons why you would want to get chickens, especially now. The egg prices are about just under $4 a dozen here in our town, and farm fresh eggs are $5 a dozen is what is people are locally selling them. But they sell rainbow eggs or blue eggs or whatever, stuff like this. So it is what it is. But when you can make a lot of food with eggs that is quite cheap, right? It's quite cheap, and you can use the compost and the litter to feed your vegetables and grow more food for your family. So good. As much as fresh strawberries, homegrown strawberries are so awesome, I don't find them to be sustainable to grow our own. You have to have a lot of plants and dedicate a lot of area and a little bit of maintenance and protection from pest pressure like birds and insects. But they're so good. I do buy my strawberries when I want to do preserving. I actually buy it from one of the market gardens here in town, and I really enjoy preserving them. But I don't grow enough for food preservation, just for snacking. Oh, they're so good. Way to go, IGA. Freezing Brothers. You really got it this time. Those are good. And talk about some things that I've noticed in a lot of discussion lately with the inflation prices. We've seen the fuel prices skyrocket. It was $2 a liter in British Columbia, which means that the cost of food is going to go up. It's always passed on to the consumer. There's all these surcharges, and food is getting to be more expensive. And I've noticed more people are wanting to learn more about what they can do to save a little bit of money, what they should grow in order to, help sustain them, even if they have a small space. What is going to be a good investment in the long run? What is going to give them the most value for what it is that they are growing in a small space or even a large space, whatever it is you may have. So I think every area is going to be different. One of the things, I've seen so many really, really good, valid points, but a lot of clickbait kind of postings and information that's been put out there about these are the top 5 that you should grow or whatever else, and all these grow lists. I really believe that it depends on your area. So some place that gets a really hot and humid summer, it might not be a good idea for them to invest in growing lettuce throughout the season, because it'll just bolt and it won't be good and it won't grow properly. So there might be something better suited that they may be able to get more production out of, like zucchini. If there is no pest pressure, there's all kinds of things to think about, but you can really just overthink things when it comes to gardening and when it comes to growing food. So I do a lot of preservation. My methods of preservation are freezing, dehydrating, freeze drying, and canning. And I preserve everything. I waste nothing. I don't even waste the stems of broccoli. They are chopped and frozen or shredded, and I use them in soups instead of using the tops. The tops of soups the tops of broccoli I will use in cauliflower and broccoli. I will use in stir fries, but I don't waste it. Even the leaves, if I am growing brassicas, the leaves are edible. Same with kohlrabi. I love growing kohlrabi early season because it's really good for cold season, and all of the leaves and stems are edible, and I use that whole plant. I don't just use the ball of the kohlrabi. And so, there's a lot of food waste. We're programmed in our modern day to, have these specific things, and we don't realize that we can stretch the food a lot further by, growing crops that have multiple uses. You can use broccoli crowns for fresh eating. You could freeze them and then, have soup for a week, making soup out of the stems, or even add those to stir fries, or if you shredded them up, you can even add them into smoothies if you wanted to. Like, there's so many things that are very, very versatile, but can they grow well there? And so I think one of the best things, if you are somebody who is even patio gardening, who just has a little patio and wants to grow a few things in a box or a bucket or whatever, I think maybe ask around your garden center or other people that might be growers or grow food in their own gardens or backyards. Ask them what they find does not do well in your climate. And I think that's a really good place to start, because it depends. You have to pay attention to the humidity, you have to pay attention to the temperatures, and also the pest pressure. So it can be very overwhelming to think of those things, but it's really quite simple because there's different seasons for different crops. One of the things that I highly found, I never was always a good gardener. I used to be a horrible gardener. I used to have no knowledge, and I started from ground zero. I had nothing here. There was no infrastructure. We built everything. I even built the garden. We went from growing things into little wash basins. I grew spinach and lettuce early spring, and I fed and preserved as much as I could. I froze as much spinach as possible so that we had that for smoothies and sauces or spaghetti. And then we used as much lettuce as possible during the season that we could before it bolted. And I would just grow in those. And I can tell you, I would preserve just in those tubs. I could preserve at least 2 months worth of food for our family by growing in 4 tubs. And that's a lot of food for us, for a family of 3. Something that's really easy to grow that most people can is lettuce, as long as it's not too hot. Lettuce grows really fast, and you can cut it for baby greens. What I did, and what I found to be most effective when I was starting out as growing my own food, is I took these wash basins that had a bunch of holes in them, and I filled them with dirt and compost. And I actually went and I got a bulk bale of garden dirt from the garden center, which was half of the price from buying the bagged stuff. And I just went and talked to the garden center and asked them if they had big bags of dirt that I could grow vegetables in. And they wheeled it out for me, loaded it in the truck. It's quite big and heavy. And it was like $60 opposed to $120, which would have cost me if I would have went to the store and bought individual bags. And all you have to do is communicate with somebody, or go talk to a local farmer and see if they have any compost that you can get from them, and take some buckets with you and ask if you could get some compost. A lot of the time they'll give it to you out of their manure pile that you can mix in with the dirt you buy or the soil you buy from the hardware store or wherever, and you can mix it in and amend your own soil. There's so many things a person can do to get yourself set up to have really good soil to grow in. Stuff like spinach it likes to be direct sown, and it likes to be in cool weather. You can't grow it in the middle of summer unless it's a specific variety. So trying to grow spinach when it's hot out is going to set you up for failure, and just being realistic about that stuff. Not setting yourself up to fail is really important. I did that in the beginning, and it was not pretty. It really run me down in my ability to think, well, I can't grow spinach because I'm so awful at gardening. But it wasn't. I was growing it in the wrong season. It didn't like the heat. So spinach is actually something you can grow even in a shady spot in your garden. It will grow as long as it stays cool. It'll grow. Stuff like cabbage. Cabbage can produce a lot of food for you, but it takes up a lot of space unless you're using a variety like what I'm growing that takes up only 1 square foot of space. And so you can actually grow quite a bit of cabbage. But again, you have to start those early and in the cool season, or late in the fall season if you have the right growing season, and you have to protect it from pests. What I do, we have horrible pests here. what I do is I plant my brassicas and then I cover them with a row cover. And the row cover stays on. I mulch around it, and I try not even to open it up to weed it. I do weed it once or twice and I leave it alone. I don't lift that off again because I don't want any of those cabbage moths getting on there and laying any eggs. That's how I do it. It's pretty low maintenance, really, when you do it that way. You just have to invest in a row cover, but a row cover, they're fairly inexpensive and they last year to year as long as you're not rough and tough on them. If you take care of them properly, you can reuse them year after year. So that's how I do it, and I found a lot of success doing it that way with crops that are easy to grow, as long as if you have the space for it. If you're on a patio and you only have room for a couple things, I recommend getting some grow bags. Now, things that are really overlooked when it comes to grow bags opposed to containers, grow bags do a thing called air pruning, and air pruning really promotes a lot of fruit set. It helps that your plants become really healthy, and it brings in so much oxygen into those roots that they grow like crazy. And it actually is a really great way, and it's portable. You can move them around. The only thing that's a downfall is you have to watch that they don't dry out. Because there's so much airflow, they can dry out. So you have to water them or have a drip system set up. Here, I would water my grow bags, the larger grow bags, every 2 to 3 days. They would retain enough moisture, but I would also mulch the top of them to hold that moisture in. You could even, if you have a potato that's sprouting in your house, you can grow that. You don't have to go buy a bag of seed potatoes. You can cut your potato into, wherever there's an eye where it's sprouting, you can cut it. And as long as there's a sprout on that potato or an eye on the potato, you can put it in the ground and it'll grow a new plant with new potatoes. So there's that. You can also, what I do here is I have potatoes that we are growing for storage potatoes. And then I have a row or a couple hills of potatoes that I steal. So what I do is during the summertime, I stick my hand in the hill and I pull out the baby potatoes, and then I cover it back in, and Molly sees she's thirsty. She's moving her dish around. She wants me to go fill it up. I put that dirt back onto the potato, and then I'm able to cook with that. I can make baby potatoes, and that plant will just keep producing. There's this difference in potatoes as well. There's a determinate potato and an indeterminate potato. The indeterminate potato will just keep vining and growing. The determinate potato will get to a certain size, and then it'll just set all of its tubers. Let's kind of make this, let me know. I kind of want to know what the prices are of things in your area. When you go to the grocery store, take a look at some of the things that I'm looking at today. And let me know, what are you paying? What are the prices? How did they jump? What can you do to create more food sustainability? And can you learn new skills to not have to overspend on that kind of stuff and spend that much money? Those are kind of some questions that I have for you and challenges I have for you as we're seeing the prices of things being so inflated. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here, and I enjoy bringing you information as I'm learning and I'm growing. I hope that it's inspiring you and allowing you to think of things that perhaps you didn't think about before, or validating some things that you've been thinking about before, and that maybe this resonates with you. I hope to see you guys again soon. Be sure to say hi, like, and subscribe. Take care, you guys. Much love. Bye for now. An update on, did I get my Instagram account back yet? Not yet. I did have to get a mugshot. I had to get another mugshot. I had to do this 4 times now, and I'm hoping I will have my Instagram account. There is a variety of watermelon that I posted about on multiple platforms, on Facebook and on Instagram, and I'm a repeat offender because I talked about this type of watermelon. The name of it is in the algorithm, the way that the name is, it groups it together to be against their policy standards or whatever. So anyway, I got my account deleted and I'm trying to get it back. And so no, I haven't got it back yet, but I'm in the process of it, and I had a mugshot taken today. So before I go, I wanted to say, any suggestions? What should I make, you guys? What should I make? Let me know, and maybe I will do a pantry challenge with it.